Hi, my name is Edgar Soler and welcome to the Classic Industries Tech Center. Today we're going to be looking at a couple different steering wheel options you have for your classic car. We're going to go ahead and do an install today on a 63 Impala, but before we get started, I want to show you a couple different options you have for specific models. Here we have a 1963 Chevrolet Impala steering wheel. It has a nice bright red finish, chrome bright trim ring along with the wheel ornaments. This steering wheel is available in red, black, or blue color options. Here we have a 1965-66 Chevrolet Impala steering wheel. It is also available in blue, red, and black color options. As you can see here, it even comes in the two-tone, which is kind of cool for those particular years. The only difference between the 65 and the 66 is that the 66 would use a different style horn cap, but the one displayed here would be correct for a 65 model. Moving along to a different model vehicle, this is a correct replacement for a 1967 Nova Deluxe. This also can be used on a 1967 Chevelle, and here we have it with the optional SS emblem. This is a 1969 standard replacement model steering wheel. This can be used also on some 70 model Chevrolets. It mostly was used on 69 Novas, Camaros, and full-size Chevrolets. It comes in 4 different colors of either dark blue, red, black, and dark green. Now the center shroud also came in those colors, and the one shown here happens to be the wood grain. We also have a complete black variation of this. There are also 3 different emblems available. There's a standard blue bow tie, an SS, and a brushed RS emblem. Here we have our 1969-70 Comfort Grip steering wheel. This is a very similar reproduction of the original optional steering wheel. It even has the red, white, and blue with a center bow tie. It's a stainless brushed steel finish on the center and the outer trim, and it has a nice black cushion grip. This particular steering wheel has a couple different options as far as fitment, because you can buy a hub for earlier year Chevrolets as well. And the next steering wheel we have here is a custom application steering wheel that you can use on a resto mod or a custom car you're building. This is a lot smaller than your other steering wheels we just looked at. It has a chrome center with the cross flag cap on the center, which actually comes from a Corvette model. The nice outside leather grip is also a cool feature, and it has a really comfortable grip. So now that you've seen some of the available options you have, let's go ahead and get started on our install. Okay, so here we have our 63 Impala, and you can obviously see that it does need a new steering wheel. It looks like there's been an attempt to repair this wheel, but I think it'll be easier just to replace it. So let's go ahead and get started on the install. So the tools needed are going to be a 3/4 inch socket, a ratchet, just a couple of Phillips and flat screwdrivers, a steering wheel puller or similar extraction device, a torque wrench, a 1/2 inch short socket, a short extension, a hammer, a punch, and a chisel. First thing you need to do is disconnect the battery. Once you've disconnected the battery, you can go ahead and proceed to removing the trim ring. The trim ring is held on by 2 attachment screws on the back side in this area right here. So once you've removed the horn ring, we can go ahead and remove the adapter and the remaining components, which are held on by 3 flathead screws. So you remove the horn ring adapter, the spacers, and the little spring plate. So at this point, we're ready to take the retaining nut and the lock washer off. I do want to point out that it looks like we're missing our horn contact button, and when we install the new one, we'll go ahead and address the issue. So now you just take our ratchet, our extension, and our 3/4 inch socket and proceed to remove the center nut. So now that we've got the retaining nut removed, let's go ahead and use the extraction tool to pull the steering wheel off of its shaft. You may want to run these bolts through by themselves to make sure you have the correct thread into the steering wheel hub. Sometimes it can be hard to tell with all the different screws that are supplied in these steering wheel extraction kits. So now that we've centered the extraction tool in place, we can go ahead and turn the extraction tool down into the steering wheel. Get a firm grip on the steering wheel to keep it from moving, and start to pull the wheel off of its shaft. So now just unscrew your bolts holding in your extraction tool. So now that we've got the old wheel off, it's time to assemble the new wheel at the bench. So here we got the old wheel. We're going to take our Phillips screwdriver and remove the canceling cam off of the back. Notice that this particular hole right here is where the horn contact would be coming through. This is the way you would want to install it on the new wheel. So the new wheel typically comes in this fashion right here, just a trim ring and the wheel itself. You'd have to purchase all the mounting hardware and the emblem separately. Let's go ahead and get this turned over, reinstall the canceling cam. So now we're going to flip it over and we're going to take our horn contact and push it down into the large recessed hole. So the next step, you'd want to take your spring plate and position it directly over the 3 threaded holes that are going to retain the horn ring adapter. So now we have our spacer, and the last piece is our horn ring adapter with the insulator. Now you just drop it down and line it up with the holes. The next step is to take the 3 large screws and thread them into place. So you just want to get them started, and once they're all in position, you can go ahead and snug them up. Don't over tighten them, but just till they bottom out. So now this is ready for install now that we've completed the general assembly. So now we've got our horn ring for our 63, and the emblems are sold separate, so we would want to install this piece from the back side like this. It's got these 4 indexing cutouts, then you would just put it in a position like that. Now you have a couple different options here. You can fold these over just slightly to create a little bit of pressure on the back of the emblem. That way it will keep it snug and keep it from falling through, or you can use some type of an epoxy. We're gently going to tap these over with our punch and our hammer. Now if you choose not to use an epoxy, just be very careful with these because you don't want to fold them over too far. You just barely want them to start to angle in to apply pressure to the edges of the emblem. You may easily break these if you try to go too far. So now that we've bent the tabs in, this will secure your emblem. Like I said, just a very slight angle change. Now let's go back to the car and reinstall the wheel. One important thing you may want to note is on this particular model, make sure that your directional switch is in the neutral position before reinstalling the steering wheel. So we take the steering wheel and we'll slide it over the spline shaft, and I want you to take a look here at the indexing marks. This particular mark here at about 12 o'clock on the shaft of the steering wheel. So the next step after lining up the index marks is to go ahead and put the retaining hardware back on. Okay, so we'll just snug it up, and then we'll take our torque wrench and we'll set our torque wrench to 35 foot-pounds. Somewhere between 35 to 40 is just about where you want it to be. So now we've got 35 foot-pounds. Now we can take our horn ring and the mounting hardware and secure it to the adapter. Okay, and that's pretty much it. All we have to do now is reconnect the battery and test the horn for function. And that's how it's done. Thank you for joining us at the Classic Industries Tech Center, and check back with us online for future installs.